Is it just me, or does Aglaonema sound like some kind of chronic medical condition that you have?
Yeah, I was just at my doctor's the other day. Turns out I got a bad case of Aglaonema.
Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Caitlin from Leave Me Alone Plants, and today we are here to talk about my Aglaonema Siam Aurora. Now that is the more official name of this plant, but you may also know this plant as the Aglaonema Siam Red, just maybe the Aglaonema Red. When I purchased this plant, it was simply labeled as the Aglaonema Siam Color, or maybe you know it as a Chinese evergreen. All gonna be the same plant, all gonna be the same care requirements. Just seems like this guy has a lot of nicknames. So regardless of what name you call this guy by, if you have one of these or if you are looking to get one of these, then keep on watching and I'm gonna tell you how I keep mine happy and healthy. So as always, and by always I mean, half the time when I remember, I like to start out by talking about where these plants originate from. And these Aglaonemas specifically are going to come from the tropics and subtropic areas of Asia. Probably has something to do with why Aglaonemas in general get their name, the Chinese evergreen. At least that's what I imagine the connection comes from. Maybe there's a whole nother story. Now in terms of how available these guys are, I feel like Aglaonemas are becoming more popular in the mainstream houseplant market. People seem to be getting turned onto them a little more than they have in the past. Now the time that I purchased this plant was actually the second encounter that I had with the Siam Red. First time I had been at one of my local nurseries here in Arizona, and I had saw a plant. It was slightly bigger than this one, but essentially the same size, and I can't remember if it was for $60 or for $80. Either way, I was like, oh my god, I had no idea that these plants are so expensive. So I continued on thinking these were super rare plants. And then a couple weeks back, I was at my local Lowe's, and literally in the very center of the table of all the plants in the farthest place to reach was this plant all by itself. And it was only $12. So I'm not sure if I got a lucky break and got this plant really inexpensive or if they just normally are inexpensive. I tried to go to Etsy and found kind of the same thing. There was plants on there sale anywhere from $10 to like $100. So really weird thing happening with the pricing of this plant right now. So if you can get one cheap, I would highly recommend it. And if you're really wanting one but are only finding expensive prices, I don't know, maybe hold out, who knows? Maybe this plant's gonna turn into the next pink princess, and in a couple months from now I'll be able to sell one of these leaves for like $300. That would be fantastic. Okay, but I've been talking long enough at this point. Let's get into the basics of this plant. So as for light, one of the great things about Aglaonema in general is that they typically do like lower lighting conditions. Now these guys in particular are gonna like more of a moderate light, and you're really gonna wanna just find the sweet spot in your home. Too much light and these leaves will crisp up and burn, but on the other hand, if you start to notice that the colors on your plant are fading, and as you can see, this guy has beautiful different hues in it, really just a rainbow of colors, and then of course you have those signature red veining on the leaf and kind of red border on the edge. But if you start to notice that those colors are fading on the plant, that is going to be a good sign for you that you're going to want to go in and bump up that light that you're giving it. Now as for watering, I don't find that these guys are super water thirsty. Water thirsty? I feel like that's a weird way of saying it. Just normal thirsty. Thirsty for normal things like water. Basically what I'm trying to say is you don't need to water them that often. Okay. However, on the flip side of that, what I have found is I haven't actually overwatered these guys. So not so much this one specifically, but I also have some sparkling ceros right now. And the one day I was trying to be proactive and let them bottom water, or butt chug as you guys say. And I guess I let them soak up a little too much because the bottom leaves started turning yellow and it fell off, and it was not a happy day in Whoville, if you know what I'm saying. Now with that said, it is part of the normal growth cycle of an Aglaonema that they will lose leaves on the bottom. They will just turn yellow, and you of course can prune them off or let them just naturally fall off. However, if you're noticing this happening in an increasing rate, then it very well could be overwatering or perhaps over-fertilizing. Now as for humidity, as I had mentioned in the beginning of this video, they are native to the tropics and subtropics of Asia, so in their natural habitat they are going to get more humidity than definitely my home has. But with that said, I live here in Arizona. My household humidity is only about 30% or so, and I do find that they do pretty well here. I haven't run into too many issues with browning or crisping or anything weird like that. So if you have lower humidity in your household, don't let the fact that these guys are tropical plants scare you away. Now as for propagation, I think the most common way that people propagate these is really through division, and you may be able to see, let me bring it a little closer. You basically have these two stalks in here, so if you wanted to share this plant with a friend or, chop some of it to maybe sell on Etsy or whatever you're trying to do, you can basically just go in and separate those pieces and have two plants that will eventually grow into their own two mature plants from there. Now conversely, I have also read that you can do stem cuttings. I haven't done it myself and I haven't seen a ton about it, but apparently it does work, so if you want to take a stem and root it up in water, that is definitely an option for you. While we're on the topic of chopping your plants up, mine's kind of in a happy medium right now between, you know, being tall and being bushy, but if you find that your plant is getting a little too leggy and is having really large spaces between the leaves, if you actually just trim back the top and prune it from there, then that will help your plant bush out and get into one of those fuller, more beautiful Aglaonemas that you may see sometimes in the store. Now, as for max size, these guys are going to max out somewhere between 2 to 3 feet. They can definitely get really bushy and really big, so while they're great at the smaller size, I think they become really impressive when you have larger ones. I personally have never gotten flowers on these, and I googled pictures and I couldn't find any pictures of them flowering. However, Nell over at Joy's Garden, if you know her, she's fantastic. I love her. I learned so much from her over the years in her YouTube channel. She coincidentally also lives in Arizona, but down in Tucson, and in her video, she talks about how hers actually flowers. So she's a pretty reliable source, and if Nell says it, then it must be true. So apparently, with enough care, these guys can bloom. One other important thing to note if you are considering getting these plants, or if you're looking for a new spot to put it in your house, do just note that they can be toxic to pets. So if you have little critters running around, as always, you may want to find a very special spot for this plant that they will not get to it. Alright, well that is all I have for you guys today on this plant, but as always, if you came here with specific questions that I did not answer, then drop them in the comment section down below, and I will do my very best to get back to you in a timely manner. While you're at it, if you enjoyed this video and learned something new, hit that like button, and if you aren't already, which is like 80% of y'all, then hit that subscribe button, because we come out with new videos every week, and you wouldn't want to miss them on your favorite plants like this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.